Hey everybody, welcome to Hash It Out. I'm RJ, your host, and in this episode, I'll be talking to Shauntel Ludwig about the federal vape shipping ban that has worried many cannabis and hemp companies and what potentially can be done about it. Without further ado, let's hash it out. All right, my guest today is the VP of Operations for the vaporizer company DaVinci. Welcome to the show, Shauntel Ludwig. Hey, thank you so much for troubleshooting the technical difficulties and joining me virtually today. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thanks so much, RJ, for being patient and, waiting around for the last 20 minutes. And hey, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, no worries. Now, where are you joining us virtually from?
So I'm sitting in my office at DaVinci in sunny Las Vegas, Nevada.
Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay. That's where my family's at, over near Henderson. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm local to that area. I love that drive. I'll take that drive any old day of the week from SoCal to Vegas.
Absolutely.
I'm stoked. Yeah. I'm stoked that you're here. There is a trending topic in the news regarding vape shipping bans that were implemented through an amendment in a Congress Appropriations bill that was passed in December 2020. And I'm stoked to ask you about that. Because, there hasn't been too much conversation about it lately. But first, let me just ask you about DaVinci. You said you're in your office over at DaVinci right now. Like I said, DaVinci is a vaporizer company. DaVinci has a line of products, including the DaVinci Classic, the DaVinci IQ, and the DaVinci IQ 2. So just tell me more about the products and what sets DaVinci apart from other companies.
So let me tell you a bit about like the inspiration behind DaVinci. I mean, we're like old school, right? We've been doing this for the past 10 years. We founded the company in 2011, when, cannabis was still very illegal. And there weren't that many vaporizers out there. So, we took a really hard look at the industry back then. We were doing some work with e-cigs, helping other people to build their brands. And, we came across portable vaporizers and we thought, wow, what a unique experience to, be able to help to empower people's experience. Back then, there were only a couple brands on the market. You had the Volcano, which has been around forever. Then you had like the IO-Lite and like Vape here. And all of these, they were giant devices. You definitely couldn't take them on the go. And they were also lacking some features. So when we were looking at this, we're like, wow, how can we make this better? And what we did is that we set out to build the most pocketable vaporizer with precision temperature control. We really believe that you should be able to take your cannabis with you. So not just having that at home, and that's become the norm now, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But also, we wanted to focus on precision temperature control because we were very interested in the boiling points and the cannabinoids and the terpenes. And while those are common knowledge now, 10 years ago, nobody was talking about that. We're telling people, hey, we're going to build this vaporizer that's going to set it to 352 degrees so you can start to activate your THC. And they're like, well, why?
Right. Sure.
And so, we're very interested in the science of, the entourage effect of peeling off different cannabinoids like CBN, or how to avoid benzene by going below 385 degrees, and then just really crafting that either medicine intake that you need or crafting that high that you get just from those different cannabinoids and from those different terpenes peeling off. So that's kind of how we started. Mm-hmm. And then we've evolved into raising the bar for clean cannabis consumption. So meaning that, we have always built responsibly, but now we're building everything with no metals, no plastics, only glass and zirconia in the air path. And I think that should be really setting the standard, which we're also seeing with new legislation coming down around like vapor testing, especially what they're doing in Colorado.
Sure.
So I guess, go ahead.
How has that, you mentioned 2011 is when you said DaVinci was founded. It's 2021 now, last time I checked. Who knows how time works nowadays, but how has that sort of educational process evolved over the span of the 10 years? Because you mentioned that back in 2011, like, there wasn't much information about this. You had people asking, why am I doing these certain things? Why should I pay attention to these certain things? How has that, how has the process of educating the consumer sort of evolved over the years from your view?
Well, it's interesting from 2 points. I think it's the information that's delivered, but it's also how the information has been delivered. So, sure. 8 years ago and before that, we couldn't talk about cannabis because then we would all go to jail and we would get labeled as a paraphernalia device.
Right.
And
right.
That's not good for business.
Sure.
And so what we used is on our website, for example, or in our direct marketing materials, we would talk about aromatherapy. We'd have to go under the guise of aromatherapy, and we talk about how you could activate terpenes in, say, lavender, or in rosemary or sage. So it was kind of like, hey, read between the lines.
Right.
But at the same time, we were able to use, third-party influencers. We were able to use PR and media, able to use, affiliates to say, hey, here's what's really going on. So we were able to give them information, talking about boiling points and terpenes and the benefits of temperature control. So that at least it was coming from a third party.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Sure.
And then as far as the type of information, I remember this infographic that we put out. And it was like this guy sitting on there with a little temperature scale. And it was like low, medium, high, super high. All right. And so talking about temperature specifically, but how they made you feel. So we would use a spectrum, I guess, kind of like dumb the information down a little bit, saying low temperatures make you feel, creative and clear-minded. Versus fast forward to now, a million years later. And, we're able to now talk about cannabis, talk about the benefits of, vaporizing at 385 degrees on our own website, without fear of prosecution. But we're also able to give people more specific information because they know the word terpene, they know the word cannabinoid, they know what CBG and CBN is, and, THC, Delta 8. Like everybody just seems to be so much more informed.
Yeah.
We still have a long way to go, but it's getting better.
Definitely. Yeah. It definitely feels like the floodgates have sort of opened in terms of, just access to this sort of information. And more it just keeps coming out on a daily, monthly, yearly basis. What are your hopes for federal legalization? The incoming administration has sort of renewed hopes that it would even be in the topic of discussion that has sort of been tabled over the past 4 years. So what are have those hopes sort of renewed themselves in you? And how do you feel about that?
I think even with the last 4 years, they've never diminished. Of course, we're pushing for federal legalization. I mean, this is a plant that grows in the ground that has medicinal qualities. That's better for you than alcohol. It should have never been illegal to begin with. But yeah, absolutely. We're pushing for federal legalization. What we hope it doesn't necessarily have is that it stays recreational federal as well and doesn't just end up going a medical route. Because I think that could be detrimental.
Sure. Yeah. Over the past year or so, there have been a lot of newsworthy stories of hopeful progress and steps forward to that realization, that aspiration that we all have. So it's been great to hear that. Now, one of those in particular has been a little more worrisome for a lot of vaporizing companies and cannabis and hemp companies in particular. And this is what I want to talk to you about, because in December 2020, so last year, the Congress approved an appropriations bill. And that included an amendment to the PACT Act, which is the Prevent All Cigarette Trafficking Act of 2009. So the new law states the new law starts this summer, rather. And while there's no direct mention of hemp or cannabis in the new law, many cannabis and vape companies are worried about it. So I'm just interested to hear your thoughts on it, and what can be done, if anything. The new law is called the Preventing Online Sales of E-Cigarettes to Children Act.
Yep.
So what do you know about this?
So this is something that we've been keeping a close eye on, absolutely, because, it could change the course of our business, 100%.
Yeah, totally.
So I guess starting with the intent of the bill, as you said, limiting e-cigarettes to children, specifically, was the intent and the purpose of this bill. However, when it got nicely wrapped up into the appropriations bill and pushed through, it was left very, very vague. So while, yes, it does say a lot of limiting nicotine, limiting e-cigarettes specifically, there's another word at the end of this that says limiting e-cigarettes that produce like vapor. But then there's another word that says any other substance.
Yeah.
So any other substance could be anything. You could go as far to say that this could, the humidifiers that you have in your house, they technically vaporize water into your house. So they could be any other substance. I mean, this could be far reaching. We know the intent of the bill, and in every single piece that we read it, they consistently say nicotine, non-nicotine, it's targeted nicotine, and, I'm okay with this, with the nicotine bill. What we're not okay is with the far reaching, broad subject of any other substance. What that potentially does is it limits our vaporizers, which and many others, which are flower vaporizers, which are not used for nicotine. Our packaging specifically states that it's for cannabis. It contradicts the Farm Bill and the mailability of any kind of hemp products that are inhaled. So any kind of like CBD liquid or flower CBD vaporizers, and also any concentrate devices. So. Yeah. The majority of these products are already sold on age-gated websites, or they're sold in dispensaries. But so it's an unnecessary reach and a broad definition where it wasn't intended. I guess our opinion on why did this happen? Everybody wants to know, well, why did they just put that there? I think when they were trying to, and I'm not a political correspondent by any means, so I'm making assumptions here.
Sure.
Is that when they were trying to push through the appropriations bill, it was such a bipartisan bill. And, everybody was so excited to just get it through, keep the government running, make sure it is spending money, that nobody wanted to go pick through a small portion of the bill that says any other substance to try to give any kind of pushback to it. So I just think people they just wanted to get the bill through, and everybody thought, yeah, sure, don't sell e-cigarettes to children. This is a good thing. Okay. Yeah, okay, let's push this bill through without actually reading the full bill. I mean, and those things are hundreds of pages long, so missing a few words, I understand how that happens.
Totally. And a lot of the times, lawmakers don't get to see the bill until like an hour before they're meant to vote on it.
Yep.
Which is just wild in and of itself. But it really is down to that little phrase really causes so much confusion. Just the phrase any other substance, like you said, that's so broad that it causes so much confusion. Like you said, like I have a diffuser of a essential oil diffuser that's on right now. And I mean, wouldn't that be included in the phrase any other substance? You were talking about, reading between the lines and talking about lavender. Like, does that not include if I do want to vaporize lavender now, like for aromatherapy purposes? So apparently, right? And we don't know because it's such a broad term, and there seems to be no specifics on that. So like I said, the law takes place this summer. The legislation takes effect later this month, and then after that, the USPS will have up to 120 days to create the rules that will implement the policy.
Correct.
I understand. Yeah, I understand that. Oh no, please go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say they're currently underneath they put out their ruling on February 19th of the language that they intend to use, and then we have until March 20th where they're taking comments from companies, from the public, from anybody before they make their final rulemaking period, which I believe is on April 26th.
Ooh, that's the day after my birthday.
Well, I
I
hope you get a
wouldn't.
good birthday present.
I hope
For
so
me.
too. I hope so too. Yeah, and I understand that DaVinci is actively involved in monitoring this issue. So tell me more about what DaVinci is doing in response to this. Are you actively involved in this comment period? And yeah, what is the course of action at DaVinci? I can imagine this is causing a lot of scrambling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely causing some scramble. So the goal for this is to get, of all of our actions, is to allow USPS to clarify, to put a clarifying statement that says, hey, this is for nicotine. This is not for non-liquid, non-nicotine devices. So more or less what DaVinci is doing, we are taking a multi-pronged approach to this. So we're working with local legislator, people who are cannabis friendly, because I don't think that they've understood the implications of what this will do to the industry. So trying to reach out to legislature, for example, California oddly passed the law, but so like local legislator who are cannabis friendly, figuring out, hey, can they do something about this? Will they go to USPS or will they take a legislative approach to this? In addition to that, we're engaging all of our customers. So we've been emailing our customers to say, please comment on this email, which will automatically send a comment to the USPS organization. I think that there's powers in numbers. So if we can get companies, customers, anybody, to make more noise, they say squeaky wheel gets the grease. So let's make some squeak.
Sure.
And then of course we're also taking a media approach to this. So we think that the more people who know about this, once again, the more engagement that we can get on the subject.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I don't know if this is a pessimistic question, but is there a chance that this can get changed before it becomes a law? Because as I said, the bill was already approved by the Congress in December 2020. So I certainly hope there is a window to be able to, get this addressed before it is indeed implemented. What's the morale like? Are you optimistic that
I am.
that
I am
okay.
actually optimistic on this. So I guess the way that this works is, so yes, they passed the law, but since USPS is a branch of the federal government, they have the right to clarify. So just adding a simple clarification that, this is specifically for nicotine devices, which if you go back and listen to all of the conversation surrounding this, when they were passing the bill, what they were talking about during the bill, they always mentioned nicotine, nicotine, nicotine. They've never once mentioned hemp, cannabis, or aromatherapy devices. So I think there is possibility to just get some additional language added to the rulemaking period that would allow us to keep shipping via USPS.
Got it. Yeah, well, best of luck with that. I certainly hope that it really does just take a certain amount of clarification. Just what do you mean by any other substance? Please just elaborate a little bit on that, and it would put a lot of people in less of a scramble because DaVinci, of course, is an established brand. You've been in the game for 10 years now, over 10 years now. You personally have been in the marketing game for over 10 years now. But there are, smaller vape manufacturing companies that, are certainly in much more unfamiliar waters and face a more unfamiliar future with this.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this isn't something outside of just the mailing ban, which is going to force people to go into regional carriers. We've been digging around, and the regional carrier, they're not cheap. Not only are they not cheap, I mean, you're talking $25 a package here, right? Yeah. Not only that, but they're also only going to deliver to major metropolitan areas. So, we're going to be limiting the reach for a lot of these companies. And, that's a cost that a lot of these smaller vape manufacturers can't absorb in the cannabis space. Not only that, we're going to be, the bill will limit shipping to businesses. So you'll have to register as a tobacco product. but we're not a tobacco product. So technically we can't ship to dispensaries even because they don't have a tobacco license. They're so much further reaching than just not being able to ship via USPS.
Yeah.
In addition to that, the reporting requirements that they're requesting are outrageous. We'd have to register as a tobacco company and then pay excise taxes, which of course are going to raise the prices of everything across the board. And then also, which all of the customers are going to love, is giving all of the consumer data back to the government on a quarterly basis. And I'm sure everybody wants to know, the government to know who bought cannabis vaporizers.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, man. It's so ironic that you would potentially have to list as a tobacco company when, like, I don't know, just I never like drawing a parallel between tobacco and cannabis because they're so vastly different in what they are on a molecular level, on a usage level, like health benefits, one has some and one doesn't. Like it's wild that that's something that you might have to do, especially while the cannabis industry is still relatively in its nascent stage.
Absolutely. I get it. I mean, I get the trying to keep e-cigarettes away from kids. Okay, I'm supportive of this.
Of course.
I understand on a state level. Even the state levels are getting crazy. We're based in Nevada, so we're one of the few states where we also have to register as a tobacco product. Because, they want their taxes. They want their taxes from e-juice and that they're not getting currently. And so once again, it's one of those broad overreaching statements of anything that creates vaporization is now considered a nicotine product. They call it an OTP, an other tobacco product. And
an other tobacco product?
It's an other tobacco product. They've made up their own words.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I guess Nevada is down with OTP then.
Nevada is down with OTP and their 30% wholesale tax. Absolutely.
Wow. Like I said, you've been in the game for over 10 years. You have over 10 years of experience in conceptualization, design, market research. You have a degree in international management from Bellevue University. How does this situation in particular parallel itself to anything that you've experienced in the past? Or is this its own thing?
This is definitely in its own thing.
Sure.
I've written my fair share of contracts. We've definitely navigated, legal messaging ramifications as far as cannabis goes. But I think this is its own beast. This has to do with, going head to head with the federal government, with, then targeting nicotine and figuring out ways to get around legislation. We've been pretty crafty in the past on getting around that, but this is different. This changes the course of how we do business.
Well, that being said, what is what are the marching orders over at DaVinci for the rest of the year and for the foreseeable future? What's the plan? What's going on over at DaVinci?
So whether or not this vape mail ban happens, we're going to keep going on as business as planned. We will figure out a way around this. We will survive. The strong always do. And so we'll figure this out. So we have a lot of cool stuff planned for this year. I'm absolutely excited. We launched the IQ2 at the end of last year. So we're still working on some app things, coming out with web app for that soon. After the Apple ban, another one. Always fun things.
Oh my goodness, the Apple ban. Oh man, that's a whole different topic right
We'll
there.
do a different podcast on that.
Yeah, totally.
And no we've got some boulders. But no, we're excited. So yeah, fixing, improving some things with the app and how that's working with the IQ2. We have a heavy roadmap coming up. We'll be excited to hopefully have a product out before 420 this year. I'd love to talk to you about it, but I can't yet.
Okay. A little teaser though.
Little teaser, so we'll have to wait.
Little taste. Yeah.
Yeah, a little taste of something. So I think the consumers will be excited to, find that out. And then, our goal by the end of the year is to have a product in every single vertical. We've been a dry herb vaporizer, with concentrate ability, i.e. dual use, for 10 years. And it's time that we have a concentrate product and an oil product on the market, and we're very close.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for to hear if or when DaVinci would get into that game.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, we definitely
Yeah.
know the technology, although it's different. But just like when we were building clean technology for the dry herb vaporizer space, we see that same need in both the concentrate space and in the oil space. We just think that we have technology that allow it to be cleaner, safer for consumers, and overall just a better experience.
Absolutely. And where can our viewers and our listeners keep up to date with everything that's going on at DaVinci and the work that you're doing in particular with, again, the vape ban legislation? Where do you suggest that our audience keep up to date with all that?
So definitely on our website, if you subscribe to our newsletter at DaVinciTech.com. Subscribe to our newsletter there. We regularly, email our fan base on the ongoings. That USPS letter will be going out on Friday for everybody to comment on.
Yes.
And then in addition to that, follow us on social media at DaVinci Vaporizer on Instagram, or even DaVinci Vaporizer on Facebook. That's where we get the most information out.
Totally. Shauntel, best of luck with everything you've got going on at DaVinci. You've got some very exciting developments that I'm super stoked to keep my ear on and keep my eye on. And again, best of luck with all of the work that you're doing with this vape ban. I really hope, like you said, I really hope to have a great birthday this year and wake up to a fantastic gift the next day, hearing that this language, this verbiage in this is better clarified, and hopefully can bring y'all some peace of mind over at DaVinci, because peace of mind is a commodity nowadays, and we can take as much as we can get.
Yeah, and thanks so much, RJ. Thanks for the interview. Also, to anybody watching, if anybody wants to go and comment on the USPS ban, the comments are open until March 20th. So please go head over to the USPS website to do that. And there is power in voice.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Yes, please, we'll leave a link in the description to this episode for that. So please, if this is something that you care about, which you stuck around for this interview, so I'm assuming that you do, definitely make sure your voice is heard and let the USPS know. Shauntel Ludwig, again, thank you so much. Hope to have you on again without the technical difficulties. Once we find out more about everything going on at DaVinci, please continue to stay safe and be well over in Vegas. And hopefully, once everything, maybe in a couple months, we could do an in-person, on-site interview over at DaVinci.
That would be amazing. We love to have guests.
Yeah, right on. All right, I will definitely keep you in contact. Again, thank you so much, Shauntel. Be well, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again soon. My thanks again to Shauntel Ludwig for joining me. If you are a member of the cannabis community and have a story you want to share with us, we would love to hear from you. You can reach the show at hashitout@trichomes.com. You can help others find the show by taking a moment to subscribe to the podcast and write a review. You can also join the discussion with industry insiders and get your voice heard by joining the community at trichomes.com and following us on all social media. Hash It Out is produced by David Fortin and presented by trichomes.com. I am your host, RJ Balde, and I'll catch you next time.